If you believe that growing a business takes a long time and that you have to work a lot of hours, you are going to love this episode and meeting my friend Holly Haynes because she launched her business basically in the heat of COVID and has been able to leave her day job, scale her online business, and she is thriving, working less, being home with her twins. And I just have really enjoyed getting to know her. She also has a planner like I do, like an actual, product planner, not just an online planner. And she has a top 100 podcast. She is just such a wealth of knowledge, and she just dove into all of this head first. So I can't wait for you to meet Holly. Let me tell you a little bit more about her. She helps female entrepreneurs create simple, scalable offers and systems to grow multiple six figures without relying on that pesky social media algorithm. You guys know I'm here for that. She's an industry expert and featured Thrive and entrepreneur.com author with a 20-year business consulting background with the Fortune 500 companies. Holly runs her strategic coaching business, Crush the Rush Planner Company, and hosts the Top 100 Crush the Rush podcast while raising her twin daughters with her husband in Columbus, Ohio. So, if you want to hear this conversation all about work life balance, all about how we both grew up with like moms who were actually business owners, and a little bit more about how she really scaled this business without relying on social media. Very cool stuff. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson. This podcast is your space, your corner of the world to be messy, creative, and ambitious as you want to be. I'm incredibly passionate about helping people do what they love and make a living doing it. We all know that is a messy process, but the messy imperfection, the messy success is what makes it all so beautiful. I'm here to help you build community around your brand so that marketing is easy. There's no such thing as a self-made millionaire, in my opinion. We're all in this together. We shine the light on others, focus on leadership. And our theme here for 2024 is the 1% adventure, where we're getting 1% better every single day. So what do you say we get started? Hey, Holly, I am so excited to have you here with us today. I have told everyone a little bit about you and your amazing podcast. So tell us, like, who the heck are you and how do you help people in the more casual way?
Yeah, I love the casual way. So my name is Holly Haynes. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I like to say I help female entrepreneurs build a full-time business on a part-time schedule.
Mm.
And the reason I say that is because I just turned 45. I have a 22-year corporate strategy background, and I didn't start my business till really late in life. I say really late. I feel like 40s are your prime, really. It's how I
Oh,
really
yeah.
feel.
We're just getting
But
started.
yeah, I have twins who just turned 10. And when I started my business, they were in kindergarten. We were in the middle of a pandemic, and I was working full time with a company that didn't really know how to work remotely. So it was like a hot mess. And I didn't have a lot of time. And I really had to figure out how to create like the systems and the routines and the things that a lot of people do sort of as like the second act as the first act, because I had very little time to actually build the thing. And so that's kind of what I became known for, is really helping you, I say, design your dream schedule, right? So you're not tied to your phone, you're not tied to email all the time. Like I did not leave my corporate career to sit in front of a laptop all day. And really figuring out like how can you create the schedule that you love, but also making an impact and an income. So
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I feel like,
yeah.
we laugh all the time about like, oh, you left your 9 to 5 to work 24/7 and you're like
Right.
No, let's
No.
debunk that. Let's not make that a thing. I know we like to all laugh about it, but oh my gosh, I love that. So, do you like get most of your clients and your students, are they in that process of quitting their 9 to 5, or have most of them already like made the leap and you're helping them scale?
Yeah, it's really a mix. Because I would never tell somebody to leave their job unless they like had a solid plan in place. Like I'm not one to be like, just go for it. Like that would totally stress me out. So it's a mix. Like I have a lot of clients that have a business and it's like humming along and they are working full time and they're looking to leave. And so we're figuring out what that looks like. Or I have clients that really like their corporate job, but they also have this like passion project that they want to see be successful. And it's more about maybe impact and just liking what they do every day. And then I have other clients who are like in it to win it and like show me how to scale. But like you said, I don't want to work 24 hours a day. So it's totally a mix, which is really interesting to me. But yeah, it's really fun to see the different phases. And I think going back to your question, it's not a one size fits all model. And it kind of goes back to, for me, like if you can control your schedule, you can control pretty much anything. So, like, what do you
Yeah.
want your schedule to look like? And then how do you make that into what you're actually doing every day?
Yeah. So, what would you say to someone that is like, how on earth could I ever be like this 6 or 7 figure CEO on like a mom schedule, right? Like,
Yeah.
my dream is to work well only while my kids are at school and nothing else, and still have time to like go to the gym while they're at school. Like, what would you say to somebody that really doesn't see that as possible?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking to the person who didn't think it was possible. I was like, there's no
I
way
love
that
that.
I'm going to be able to build a business that's going to replace a 20-year corporate. Like, there's no way. Like, it's there, that's impossible. So I actually went into it with, it would be really cool if I could just make some money on the side and like we could take a vacation once a quarter. Or I was actually doing something that I really liked. So I didn't go into it with this like all or nothing mentality. So that would be my first step. My second step would be, how much time do you actually have? And I think a lot of times we have more time than we think. We just don't know what to do. And
Mm,
so for me, and I think my clients will say this too, is I'm really good at helping others like figure out, okay, well, what's that first step that's going to help you get more visibility or help you get that first client or help you create that evergreen funnel? Like what's the one thing we can focus on to like create the momentum that is going to let you put your kids on the bus, which was my goal. I'm like, I don't care what I do. I just want to get my kids on the bus and get them off the bus and then like go to yoga class if I want. So my schedule, I probably didn't get there as fast as someone that had more time, but I definitely was efficient with my time. I actually have a framework. It's called CEO Week, and it's 1 hour a day. And
oh
so
my
it's like
gosh.
1 hour a day that you focus on because that's all I had. Like I don't. Pandemic seems a little blurry right now, but I do know it's a phase that I don't want to go through again. And there wasn't a lot of time. And so it was 1 hour, sometimes two if I had time. And each day had a theme. So it was like, okay, Monday's content. I'm going to do as much as I can on content. Tuesday is going to be podcasting. I'm going to do as much as I can on podcasting. And then when I would like panic and be like, oh my gosh, I have so many things that I can do from a podcasting perspective, I'm like, no, Holly, Tuesday's podcasting day. Just put it on the list, go to the
Mm.
next step. And that really like helps create the momentum.
Oh my gosh, I love that, and I feel a little called out too because one of my areas that I'm working on is like how to like prioritize because I have
Yeah,
plenty of time. Like I love that whole perspective of we have more time than we think. Like 9 to 2 is like my ideal work day, and that's
same.
plenty of time. This whole thing that like people should work 9 to 5, like who made that up anyway? But
Yeah,
I struggle so much with like prioritizing. Like what is the most important thing to do today that will move the needle? Not necessarily like, what do I want to do? Like, who do I want to
right.
go network with and like play around, right? But like, what is going to move the needle?
Yeah.
What are your favorite like tips for prioritizing?
So I typically go with like the one thing methodology. So I have a
Mm,
planner, and in my planner, it's like here are 3 things you want to do for the day. I really just love the number three, but also I think statistically we don't have a lot of time to do anything else. So when I was working full time, I usually had like one thing that I was going to do in my corporate job for the day. I had one thing that I was going to do for my business for the day, and then I had one thing that was like family or personal related or something. And I think a lot of times we go into the day of like, okay, you're planning an event right now. You probably have 17 things, maybe 100 things that you could do for this event. But instead, I would be like, okay, today's the one day that I'm going to do this one thing. It's like my non-negotiable. Like I'm going to write
Yeah.
an email, or I'm going to send this pitch, or I'm going to record this podcast. Like yesterday, my VA was like, "Holly, your podcast isn't done for Friday." And I'm like, "I know, it's Monday. It was Monday." And I'm like, I'll get there. It's getting done today. That was like my one thing. I was like, I cannot go to bed until I get this podcast done. And so for me, it's just like, it was like picking that one thing. But then the strategy behind the scenes was I kind of had like a project plan and what the most important things were. And then I could sort of choose from that list each day.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned, like, your planner. What did you share on social media recently that I was like, "I wanna do that?" It was something about you have one journal that you take with you, like, the
Oh,
whole
my
day?
one journal method.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I like to write things down. Like I just have had like paper everywhere and I had post-its everywhere and I'm
Mm,
really really organized. Like I'm an Enneagram 3. Like if
mm,
I lose something, the world ends cuz I don't even know where to look. Like I just don't lose things. And I just kept finding like I would have calls like this where I would think of really great ideas, or I would, go to coffee and I would think of something and then I would like forget where I wrote it down.
mm,
And so because I don't write things down in my phone, or even if you do in your phone, you could do this in your phone too. I got one notebook at the beginning of this year, and every day I actually have it in front of me and it says like the date, right? So what the date of today. And then right before this call, we were talking about using like a custom link for your podcasting. And I wrote that down. I just wrote studio link down. So at the end of the day, I'll go back and I'll look at all my notes and I'll either put them in my planner or put them in my like project management system, or sometimes they just sit there. But I know, like, hey, if I wrote that down and I can't find it, I know it's in this notebook. Like I know it's somewhere.
uh-uh.
And it's not fancy. It's literally just a blank notebook, but it just helps me. So I work from home most of the time. I just like carry it around with me. And if somebody says something that like triggers something, or I want to make sure that I like go back and look at it, but I don't want to get distracted with what I'm doing right now, I'll just write it down. And then at the end of the day, I'll just figure out what to do with it.
Oh my gosh, I love that, and I mean, you're this is, like, blowing my mind because it's so simple. I'm like, "Why have I not thought of that?" Like, I
Yeah,
have Post-it notes
I
all over
think we
my
just
desk.
overcomplicate things. Everyone's like, "What planning tools do you use?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I could show you like our ClickUp background, but like sometimes you don't need that. You just need like a really simple focus, especially I think when you're working full time and you're trying to build something when you don't have a lot of time."
Yeah, and, ClickUp is, like, for our big projects. We're talking,
Mhm.
like, our day-to-day brain that's like,
Mhm.
"Call and make that dentist appointment," or,
Yes.
it's like, it could be anything, and that sort of, like, allows that white space of, like, this is just my day. Like, this is just my
Yeah.
thoughts for the day that I need to write down so I don't forget, and they're all in the same place. And I'm looking at all my Post-it notes
Yeah.
and my other little weekly to-dos where I'm like, "I don't know where to put this." And I'm like, "It's so simple." So when you held yours up, it looked like an 8.5 by 11, so it's a full size?
Yeah. I have big handwriting. Like I'm
Okay.
just like I just have bubbly handwriting. So
And then if
you
you,
can
like,
use
go to an
anything.
appointment or you go to yoga, is it, like, in your purse with you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I take it everywhere. Or it sits in my car. Because if I put it on my phone, then I'll lose it. And then when I open my phone, I get distracted with all things social. And so like for me, it's like the one notebook. I got like a really fun cover. It's motivating.
I'm gonna start this, like, tomorrow. What'd you call it? Your one
Yeah.
notebook method? Your one journal
Yeah.
method?
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
literally
gosh.
a blank sheet of paper every day. Sometimes I journal in it. Sometimes I will write nothing. It just depends on the day.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that so much. I mean, I'm trying all the notebooks with the rules, and we need one without a rule, like, we just need the
Yeah,
blank
no
pages.
rules. Yeah.
And I'm like, "I always have one over here. Why don't" I don't know, it's just, like, one of those, "Why didn't I think about it?" moments. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned your mom had a flower shop when you were growing
Mhm.
up, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I wanna talk about this because my mom was a potter, and I've mentioned that a lot on the
Oh,
podcast. So,
yeah.
let's talk about our mamas. Tell us the story.
Yeah. Well, I never, like, acknowledged, I think maybe until last year, that that was, like, entrepreneurship, because I don't know about you,
Mm.
but I feel like the word entrepreneurship wasn't, like, a word until I mean, I know it existed, but, like, people didn't say that, right? And so people kept asking me when I would do podcast interviews, like, does entrepreneurship run in your family? And I'm like, no, like, no. But then I was like, wait, my mom had a flower shop when I was a kid. Yes, it did. And I never like put two and two together because I feel like it just felt different. So when I was really little, she worked in a flower shop and I would go like make the bows, and at Christmas time I would like pot the poinsettias. And it was like back in the day where they had like real cash registers, which was so fun. Like they would make the noises, and then they had the like the slips that had like three different sheets of paper, and like you would actually like write out the receipt. I mean, it was like so cool. And then she ended up buying the flower shop and ran it like when I was in high school and college. And so it was really interesting now looking back. I don't think I like acknowledged it when I was younger, like what was actually happening behind the scenes. I just assumed that it was normal, that like you went with your parents to work and that everyone could make 100 bows in an hour. Like I just thought that was like what people did. But now, like when I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, like she was doing payroll and she was hiring people. And so I feel like I have a different view of it as an adult than I did a kid.
Oh my gosh. Now, have you and her had a conversation around this? Is she still
Yeah,
around?
I think it was very stressful for her. And it's really interesting because I feel like I'm super creative, but not like in the artistic way. Like I'm not a
Mm.
great drawer, but I have a lot of ideas. And then I can like take those ideas and I have like more of a business, like creative side, where I feel like for her, she was more creative. Like, I don't want to do the business side. I just want to be the creative person. And so it's really interesting to understand like the challenges that went with being a creative but not wanting to be a part of the business side. And then for me, having the business background but like trying to create the space to be creative, because that's like what I like the most, but I can really get in the weeds of the business side of things too.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And like what a different time too. So my mom
Yeah.
quit nursing. She was an ER nurse for a long time and she quit to be a potter full time. But you're right, they didn't entrepreneurship wasn't a word. And we didn't even really throw around like business owner. Like potter became a noun. Like I am a potter, and that's what people that do pottery for a living like call themselves. I'm a potter.
Yeah.
So your mom was probably like I'm a florist, but she
Yeah.
might not have walked around saying like I own a floral company, right? Or
Yeah.
so it's so interesting that we both have that similar experience. And my mom was very loud about it with me, not like the world, but with me when she was quitting her job and decided to run her own business. And she definitely raised me to do what you love and find a way to make a living doing
Mhm.
it. So I'm like, that has to be why I turned out the way I did, because
Yeah.
I'm like never ever like meant for corporate.
It's so different, and it's so interesting because actually yesterday my husband and I, like, for fun, we like to just go walk around like the garden center in our town. It's like spectacular. And so my girls are at dance and I'm like, let's just go walk around, all the new stuff is out. And I ran into one of my old coworkers and she was talking about like what was happening at one of the companies that I worked for. And I like walked out to the parking lot and I told my husband, I was like, Scott, I don't know what she was talking about. Like it was like such a different world and I haven't been out of it for that long. It's been 2 years, like, and I was like, it's such a different world, like such a different world.
Oh my god, my husband comes home talking about his job like every day, and I'm literally like those reels and those memes that go around that are like when
Yeah.
your husband's talking about his job and like I understand nothing. I'm just like smiling, nodding. I'm like it's like a
Yeah.
foreign language to me. But he
Yeah.
probably feels the same way when I'm like my email list and my funnel and
I know. Well, my husband actually works for me now, and we had to have like 6 months of let's just go through the words of what
yes.
does this mean? Like Kajabi, ConvertKit, funnel,
Yeah.
engagement, webinars. Like we went through, we had like a little training workshop.
Oh my gosh. So in 2 years since you left your 9 to 5, you've been
Mhm.
able to like retire your husband. What did he do before? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so he's in real estate. So I wouldn't say he's fully retired from real estate,
Okay.
but the market is not great right now.
Yeah.
So
And that can be
so I'd say
flexible. Like I know a lot of people
yeah.
that do real estate like all in and some people do it on the side.
Yeah, so he's probably like 90% works for our business and then 5% real estate.
Okay.
Which has been cool because it's just a different way to balance sort of like what you focus on and what you do.
Yeah. Does he like it so far? Like the flexibility and the creativity?
I think so. He was a principal before, so it's very. I mean, our. I always say, like, when people say, "Imagine what you can do in 5 years," I was like, our life looks nothing the same as it did 4 years ago. Like, there's not one thing that is different. Like, I was cleaning out my closet the other day, and I'm like, "Oh my god, even my shoes are different." Like everything is so different than what it was, and so I think for me, that's really interesting when people are like, "Oh, 4 years sounds like a really long time," but like it's really not. And like you
No.
can change so much in such a short amount of time.
Totally. And just going back to the beginning of what we were talking about, like people that are leaving their 9 to 5 and kind of learning to do this, it's like we all say, like, it doesn't happen overnight and like go at your own pace. But like the truth is, like, it can happen
Hmm.
fast. I mean,
Hmm.
my friend was able to leave her job working for Miami Parks and Rec, and she had a very healthy, like 75K plus salary, and she's making more than that. And she was able to
Hmm.
do that like as soon she had it all lined up. Like you said, she had a plan, but like as soon as she quit, she was able to take on more clients and she just like crushed it. And she doesn't even have like a website because what she does is like more high level fractional consulting where she's
Yeah,
working under the hood of like entrepreneurial companies. And if you do that kind of work and you can be somebody's like, head of
like chief
systems
of
or head of
staff.
operations,
Yeah.
yeah, head of operations, like fractionally for like three different entrepreneurs, like you are set, like,
Oh
or
yeah.
four at 10 hours a week, like, because
Yeah.
people like you and we don't always, I don't need somebody that can work 40 hours a week. I don't work 40 hours a week,
Right. Yeah,
you
it's
know?
really amazing, and I think it just I get the question all the time, and it's just I had a goal, and my goal was I wanted to put my kids on the bus. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to figure that out. Maybe I work part-time, maybe my business goes full-time. I don't know. I just need a flexible schedule. And
Yeah.
then it was like every single day, what's the one thing that I'm going to do to like get a step closer to that? And sometimes it went really fast, sometimes it went really slow. But then when you look back over a longer period of time, you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't believe that actually happened."
Yeah, I mean, and I've left my job 8 years ago, and I feel like I'm still kind of figuring it out, like
Yeah.
but, it's like our values are all different because I have friends that left their jobs the same time as me, and, like, if their number one value is just to make money, they're gonna look a little bit different, where my value is that work-life balance and
Mhm.
doing things in my business that make me really happy, and I know
Mhm.
that, like, the money is always a byproduct, like, of that, and we can have it all, and we can have both, but if I'm doing something that I don't enjoy doing, I'm like, okay, I will start over from scratch if that's what it takes to get to
Yeah.
like what I really enjoy, right? So
Yeah.
everybody's journey is so different. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Crush the Rush podcast because I know when I was on your
Yeah.
podcast, I left with like all of these ideas on like how to, or maybe it was our networking call, like how to do a better job
Yeah.
promoting my podcast. Tell us how that came to be and like how your podcast helps people.
Yeah, so the podcast actually was the very first thing that I did when I was like, I think I want to start my own business. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew through like my consulting career that I really liked helping other women and being like a mentor. And I knew that I had the background to scale businesses, but I was scaling Fortune 500 businesses. I wasn't scaling sort of like, singly owned entrepreneurial type businesses, which is a little bit different, but the strategy is very much the same. And so I was
Mm,
like, I got to figure out what this looks like. So Crush the Rush was actually a name that like came to me in the shower because I was like, I just want to get out of this rush. Like, I just
mm,
want to get out of this like hamster wheel of I drive to work, I sit in a cubicle all day, I come home, we have dance class. Like, it just felt like I was just doing like these things on repeat and like nothing was meaningful. So
mm.
that's where the name came from. And I actually used the podcast. So the podcast came out. This is like a crazy story. It came out the day the first case of COVID hit the United States, which I think was like in Seattle or someplace. And
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
remember being like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? Like, here I am coming out with a podcast about your morning routine or something. Like, that was our first episode. And the world was like shutting down. I
Oh my
was like, what do
gosh.
you do? And I didn't do anything that I would say now. Like, we didn't have a trailer. I didn't come out with multiple episodes. Like, I didn't do anything right. But I just made a pact with myself. Like, I'm just going to come out with an episode every single week. That's what I'm going to do. And I leaned into it as like a test market.
Yeah.
So I would come out with episodes and then I would pay attention to like, what did people like about it? What were like the downloads? And I would ask questions on the podcast. And then I would use our social and our email to make it more of like a relationship based podcast, which I
Mm.
didn't know the term until recently, but apparently that is a thing where you're using your podcast to share behind the scenes of like what you're doing and what you're building, and you're asking questions. And then there's ways through email and different platforms where people can answer the questions. And then, you're sort of using it as like a two-way conversation. And so that's what we ended up doing. After the podcast, I launched a course, which I called the Crush the Rush Playbook. It doesn't exist anymore. I quickly learned that for me, having 4 people buy a course, because I had like no audience at this point, for like $200 was not going to cut it. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
all I want to do is hire somebody to edit my podcast. Like, that's my goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, Holly, like courses aren't your thing. I like to teach, I like to mentor. I kind of went back to like the beginning. And so I launched our mastermind immediately after that. And I sort of like flipped the model and said, I have a ton of experience. A lot of people don't have that experience. I want to like go really deep with people in a way where I can like physically and tangibly help them build this business. And so the podcast sort of like led us to that. And then we've launched other products and things after that.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And that's something nobody really talks about in the course space, right? Because everyone talks about how sexy it is to have a course and passive income, but nobody sat me down and was like, you're going to need a larger audience.
Yeah, right?
Like I was so dreamy and wide-eyed of like how many, I could sell 100 of these and like make so much money.
Mm,
And it's like, no, with my audience size and normal conversion rates, that's just not going to happen. Like I had
right.
to
Like, doesn't
really,
even cover the cost of like the platform where the course sits. I was
yes.
like, okay, this is not what I need.
Yes, yes, and, like, even the level of success that I have now, I don't have the numbers to
Hmm.
really put all my energy and effort into my course that I have now. It's a 497 course, but I only launch it, like, once a year because,
Hmm.
like you said, it's like, is the ROI really what I wanna focus on when I've
Hmm.
got, like, consulting clients and coaching clients that it's a higher ticket thing?
Hmm.
And kind of more rewarding because I like
Yeah.
to be with people, I mean, having the course
Yeah.
is great because it's always an opportunity for someone that can't afford to work with me one-on-one, but I like people.
Yeah, same. And I mean, we do have like one-off master classes, but all of our programs are have some sort of like podcast interaction because I like podcasting. So we have like private podcasting, you can listen to things, but also, there's some sort of like live component,
Mhm.
which I've had a lot of people tell me you shouldn't do that. And I was like, but that's what I like. And so it kind of goes back to, you have to do what feels really good for you and what you like to do. And that's, I think, where the consistency comes from. And that's where the momentum comes from. And that's when you start to see success.
Yeah, and that's what my business coach always says. He's like, when everybody else is zigging, you zag, right? Like when
Hmm.
everyone else is doing one thing, go the other direction. So I feel
Hmm.
like that's kind of what you did when you're like, everyone's telling me what to do and I didn't do it.
Right. I was like, okay, let's just like flip the whole model, which is super scary, but knock on wood, it has worked. So,
Okay, so what I'm hearing is like with the podcast, you were kind of winging it in the beginning, but
mhm.
now you're like top 100, like killing it. You have all these speaking engagements, like for growing a podcast. So give us like 3 tips for all the podcasters that are listening that just really want to get more listeners. What would you
Yeah.
tell us?
So, yeah, well, I would say I wouldn't worry about the number of downloads. I would
Mm,
worry about the results that you're getting from the episodes that you're putting out.
oh, so good.
Because at the beginning we didn't have a ton of downloads. I mean, we have a decent amount now, but like I said, our podcast is relationship based. So I would really think about like if your clients are asking you questions, do a podcast on that.
Yeah.
Or I just did a podcast on how I self-diagnosed myself with high functioning anxiety. And it was like the most downloaded. There's no strategy, like nothing. And I was just like, I just get really nervous. Like, and I'm trying to figure out how to get through this. Like, does anyone else feel that way? And it was sort of this like back and forth. Like people are emailing me and we share our clips on social and people are responding. And so I would think of ways that you can open up using the platform where, because people can hear your emotion, they can
Mm,
hear what you're going through, and that's going to kind of get you these like super fans, right? So that when you do have something, you can then use your podcast platform to talk through what you're doing. Like for your event, you could do a podcast on why you're having this event and why it's important to you, and then like what's in it for them and why should people come. And I think people get nervous to promote themselves on their own podcast, but that would
hmm.
be my second tip is every single podcast episode I am sharing at least one resource where people can get on my email list.
Yeah.
So the podcast and the email like work together. Most of the time it's free. Every once in a while it'll be like for our program that we're launching or whatever it is. But most of the time it's like you listen to the podcast and then you come to our email and then you get like more value. And so
Yeah.
I think, number one, using it as a relationship. Number two, like it's okay to promote yourself, especially if you're giving more value. And then the third one, I would say the conversations that you have when you actually interview people on a podcast, I feel like helped me grow so fast because the networking that organically
Mm,
happens before and after an interview. So a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to have people on my podcast. I personally think you'll grow a lot faster if you can do interviews because you're attaching yourself to their network and they're attaching themselves to your network or vice versa. And so not only can you capitalize on each other's networks, but I think like that I've met like some of my best friends now through conversations before and after interviews. And one of the things that I always try to do at the end of an interview, and like you and I have done this, we've both done it, is like, hey, how can I help you? How can I support you? And you never know what's going to come out of that. It's probably not a podcast interview. It might be something else, but that's really helped us grow. And I would say, it's not about the downloads, it's not about the sponsorships, it's the relationships that you're creating as you're putting out consistent content.
oh my gosh, I love that so much because, like, I'm always like, more downloads. But, like, you're right. It's more about what are the results that we're getting. And every time someone asks me, like, how do you like doing the podcast? Do you see an ROI on the podcast? My answer is always anyone who listens to the podcast goes from point A to B so much faster,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that know,
Exactly.
like, and trust is expedited because, like you said, they can hear my voice, they can hear my emotion. And my podcast is 100% like that relationship behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes. I mean, I do episodes about the most random things, but to me, that's kind of the appropriate place for it because people can kind of choose like, oh, I want to come listen to this topic, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to get super loud on social media about like my running journey, right? Like
Yeah.
because I want to talk for 30 minutes about it. I don't want to just do one quick 60-second reel. I want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too, and I've shared this a lot lately, is even if no one listened to our podcast, I would still do it because it is a content machine.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I know every single week, one episode, we actually do two episodes, and we just added a third, which is like this throwback episode, which is another strategy. But one episode can turn into like 10 pieces of content.
Yes.
So I've worked really hard behind the scenes to say, okay, you've got this video of me talking. How can we use that to make reels, to send emails, to create blog posts, to put on Pinterest, to put on LinkedIn? Like it's this like copy machine. Like I
Hmm.
never have to write anything from scratch. And for me, it's so much easier to just talk. Like to just have a,
Yes.
I joke that like I come at my office, I just have a conversation with myself once a week, but it creates the video, it creates all the things that you externally see. And I have people say, like, oh my gosh, Holly, like, how do you create so much content? Like, you're literally everywhere. And it's like it all comes from one source. Like, I don't
Yes.
have to sit down and stare at a blank sheet of paper and be like, what am I going to post today? So
Yes.
I think it's like an amazing content tool.
So smart. Have you started using Cast Magic yet, or what's one of your favorite tools?
So my current favorite tool, we actually did a podcast episode on it, is called Metricool.
Okay.
It's not a new tool. I just discovered it and it allows you to schedule social media content. So we, as an example, if this were a podcast episode that we have, we would take it, we would make it into a clip and we would be able to share it on Instagram stories. We create a reel out of it, LinkedIn, YouTube shorts, and Pinterest story pins all at once, and we can schedule it ahead of time.
Oh, wow.
So it goes like all these different places. And like my VA will like pop it in there and then I'll go in and like look at it and approve it. You can schedule like hashtags and comments and it's amazing. Like I'm obsessed with it. Like this
Very
makes my
cool.
life so much easier. And for us, our podcast is sort of the top of funnel. It's not social.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter to me that it's a repeat of things. But also most people don't notice, right?
No,
They
they don't
don't
notice.
notice that like the Friday episode last week was the same Sunday email, which was the same reel that went out. Like people don't notice. Or they're like, oh my gosh, I saw that in Holly's email. I just saw this reel about it. I need to go back and look at
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So Cast Magic is more for the copy. So it sounds like
it.
what you're
Mhm.
using is for the video clips.
Yeah.
Cast Magic will do your LinkedIn post, your blog post, even an Instagram thread, even a Facebook group question. Like you can literally tell it what social platforms you want it to create content for. And I love that it
Oh, nice.
differentiates the different ones. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. I would say another cool tip that I had is like we all know like Chat GPT speak.
Yes.
Like you could tell when somebody uses Chat GPT,
Yeah.
but you can take your podcast transcript and you can dump it into Chat GPT and say, write a social post using my words.
Yes.
And so it doesn't sound Chat GPT like. The other thing I like to do is I like to take the transcript and I'll stick it in Chat GPT and I'll like give me a hook for
Mm,
Instagram. So
yeah.
I can use my words, but like I'm not great at coming up with that like one liner sometimes. And so it'll give you like subject lines or hooks. So it's
Yeah.
still your words, but not but saving a little bit of time.
Yeah, and like the brain space, right? Like
Mhm.
sometimes I enjoy doing that stuff, but it takes a quite a bit of brain space and like it's not a high ROI for me to be
Mhm.
repurposing my content because the ROI for me is to be like sending like one-to-one emails and doing networking
Yeah.
calls and like leading, classes and things like that. So, yes, 100% agree. So good. And then your podcast, like we said, is called Crush the Rush. So
Yes.
awesome. What big project are you working on right now? Or what's coming up for you?
Yeah. I feel like we have so many projects right now. I was actually having a moment this morning and I was like, have you ever read the book The Big Leap by
No, but
Gay
it's on my
Hendricks? And
list.
it's so good and it's basically about how you have these like periods in your life where you're like pushing past your comfort zone and I feel like we're in this like period
Mm,
right now because my goal this year was like to not create anything new. So we're actually getting ready to launch Antisocial School, which is our 8-week program and it teaches you basically some of the things that I've taught about, which is how to grow and scale without the social drama. Like so I say
mm.
like my goal is to like ditch the social drama. You don't have time for it. Like let me show you other ways to do it. So that's coming. And then the other thing we have going on is we have a family goal to travel once a quarter. So we're actually taking my twins are 10 years old, two girls. We're taking them to Paris, Switzerland, Austria, and Germany for spring break,
Wow.
which I'm really excited about. We've taken them overseas before. We went to Scotland and England 2 years ago, and like we've traveled the United States a lot, but being gone 2 weeks, like when I was talking about like high functioning anxiety, I'm like, okay, you can do it. It's gonna be fine. Like it's not like you're going to some like remote place, although some places in Austria feel that way. So those are like our big projects coming up.
Oh my god, I love that. My family does not have the travel bug. I like to travel for work and like
Yeah,
travel around the United States, but my husband doesn't like to travel and I don't really like I've never traveled like internationally other than like the Bahamas.
yeah,
I know, I'm like grew up under a rock, but I don't know. It's again not a huge desire for me. Not right now at least.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that was one of my big goals of leaving my corporate schedule was to
Yeah.
travel. I always say we have to travel somewhere besides grandma's once a quarter. That's our goal.
Besides grandmas, I love that.
Yeah,
I know I have
grandma's are the
become
top.
such a sucker for like good views. Like every time I go to Seattle, it's just like makes me rethink my life, the views. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to me and I feel like because I tell myself I'm like a workaholic, like I like to work, it feels good. It's good for me to like get into different spaces. Like it
Yeah.
forces me to like plan and get ahead and like take a break. And so it's been sort of a fun little project.
Yes, I love it. Okay, well tell everyone how they can find you.
Yeah. So, well, you can obviously go listen to the podcast, Crush the Rush. Elizabeth is on there, and we have such a fun episode. But I would love if you like some of the things that I shared about podcasting and networking and growing. I have actually a 5-part, it's a private podcast. I really do love podcasting. It's totally free. It's just hollymurrayhaynes.com/social. And I walk you through the framework of how to create your own, I call it antisocial strategy, where you can content repurpose and you don't have to be tied to the algorithm.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I was actually going to say, particularly, tell us how we can find more on the antisocial. Because I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I'm kind of one of those people too that have like such a love hate with social media. Like when I'm feeling it, I want to go all in. But then when I want to take breaks and like just not have that be in my energy, it's like I want to know that my business is still growing when I'm
Yeah.
not over there.
Yeah. It's not risky, right? Like you've
Right.
got your strategy in place. And if you're having a day where you don't want to show up, you don't have to because you've got things in place to sort of support you.
I love that so much. Okay, we will definitely check that out. I'm like, I might be the first one to go over there and sign up for it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else you want to share?
Yeah, no, it's just so fun to talk about. I think how you can merge, business and family and schedule, and
Yes.
such a good conversation.
Oh my God. I love it. And just like you, I take so much pride in being able to get my kids on the bus and get them off the bus
Hmm.
and, just know that my time is my own. It's
Yes.
just such a beautiful thing. I'm so excited about the work that you're doing in the world because it's so important. And I just want to see more women give themselves permission to do what they love. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Holly. I swear I could just talk to Holly all day. Just a reminder, this is episode 146. So you can go over to our show notes at elizabethhenson.co/E146 and get all the links and details, how to find Holly, how to check out her planner, all that good stuff. And make sure that you leave us a review on iTunes or share this episode with a friend if it was helpful. It truly means the world to us. And I just wanted to give our amazing sponsors for the upcoming event a special shout out to Subflow, who I use for our SMS text message marketing, and Interact, who we use for our amazing quiz on how to get a more engaged community and figure out why your community may not be engaged. So I'm going to put those links in the show notes as well. Reminder, this is episode 146. So head on over to elizabethhenson.co/E146. Make sure you share the love. Go say hi to Holly. I appreciate you so much for being here today and pushing play and hanging out with us on the Messy Success podcast. I love you guys.